Madam Chair and committee members. It's my pleasure today to present SB 916, which seeks to reestablish single subject credentials in theater and dance. Now, the bill is not a new idea nor a new solution, but I'm happy that this policy has garnered quite a bit more support from the arts and the educator communities this year than ever before. We're accepting the staff recommendations to clarify candidates in the teaching pipeline are subject to current credentialing laws. And additionally, a few supporters are continuing to work with our office about the implementation process of the bill, which we will continue discussing as the bill moves forward. So with that, I want to give you a little bit of background as to what brings us to this moment. I loved the arts as a kid. My mom's an artist, and I played music, and I know playing Captain Hook in my high school theater production of Peter Pan was a highlight of growing up, and I've kept on with that villainous streak ever since. I realized I was very fortunate to have been raised in a community that very much valued the arts and understood the positive influence that arts can have on young people. In fact, research has shown very consistently that with a higher level of arts involvement, students are much more likely to be high achievers on tests. They're much less likely to drop out. They're much more likely to be engaged in school. If you actually look at so many of the students that we sit around this table talking about a great deal, who feel disconnected from the traditional academic curriculum, the arts have been shown over and over again to play a really important role in keeping them engaged and feeling connected to school. So I'm now chair of the Legislators' Joint Committee on the Arts, and we had a hearing just last fall to talk about whether the arts are really adequately being incorporated into the curriculum as state law requires, and that's a broader discussion for us all to have. But of the many things discussed, one of the key takeaways was the fact that it turns out that California and West Virginia are the only two states in the entire nation that don't issue teaching credentials in theater and dance. And for a state that prides itself on being the arts and entertainment capital of the world, this is just a glaring oversight that really ought to be addressed. As you know, there are 13 core subjects for which specific credentials are authorized. Art and music are among them, but for no logical reason, theater and dance are not. In fact, theater and dance are also the only two subjects that have detailed standards delineated in state law that are not associated with a standalone credential. Now, more than 200 of our colleges and universities offer theater dance majors here in the state of California alone, but graduates hoping to teach in these fields are required to obtain a credential in English or physical education. This makes about as much sense as requiring Spanish teachers to get a credential in French, because there may be some similarities between the two. It just doesn't respect these core academic disciplines or the kids who deserve highly qualified teachers in those subjects. So I've authored SB 916, the Theater and Dance Act, ta-da, to establish single subject credentials in theater and dance. Under this new proposal, new teachers entering the profession will no longer be required to earn a credential in an unrelated subject. And for those teachers who have completed the required coursework to teach theater or dance in addition to another subject for which they've earned a credential, nothing will change. We're grandfathering folks in. We still have this authorization process so that, for example, if you're right now, if you're a math teacher and you want to teach science and you have some science coursework, you can do that with no trouble. We're proud that the CTA debated this, and after a long-standing opposition to this, they've now come on board in support of this bill and of this idea. We're still discussing with them an amendment to clarify exactly what a grandfathering clause will entail, and we look forward to continuing that discussion with all of our supporters and our committee staff.